The Galactic Council Chamber was a marvel of interstellar architecture, a vast circular hall orbiting Eldred Prime, its walls alive with shifting holograms and the shimmering flags of 17 species. Representatives sat around the great central dais, voices rising and falling like a turbulent sea as decades-old disputes threatened to ignite full-scale conflict. At the heart of the turmoil was a fragile peace near the outer rim, where resource-rich systems lay vulnerable to pirate raids and outright annexation. The Council had been deadlocked for months, unable to agree on how to respond. Many delegates muttered under their breath about the newcomers from Earth, still seen as reckless upstarts by the older powers. Amid the heated debate, no one noticed the faint rippling of space near the chamber's viewing windows, a subtle distortion that grew quickly into something impossible to ignore. Outside the station, deep in the void, a colossal shadow blinked into existence. The Behemoth. Its hull swallowed the starlight, a vast and jagged silhouette that dwarfed every ship docked at Eldred Prime. At over a kilometer long, it was unlike anything the Council's fleets had ever encountered. No registry code, no recognizable design, just cold, black steel that seemed to absorb the cosmos itself. A murmur swept through the chamber, growing to a cacophony of disbelief. Security sensors aboard the station flickered, scrambling to identify the anomaly. But none could penetrate the Behemoth's sophisticated stealth and electronic warfare systems. The Council President, an ancient Valter named Sirac, banged his gavel, demanding silence. "Identify that vessel," he ordered, voice cracking with age and shock. "Who dares enter Council space without clearance?" The communication grids blinked. Then suddenly, a new channel opened. The holographic projection flickered on, revealing a woman clad in a sleek, dark uniform, her eyes sharp, her expression unreadable. "I am Admiral Elena Cortez of the Terran Star Service," she announced. Her voice was steady, but laced with a calm authority that silenced the room. "The ship you see is the TSS Behemoth. Earth is no longer a minor player in the galaxy. We are here to claim our place and warn those who threaten our people." The delegates exchanged stunned glances. Whispers turned to outright shock. Humans. After decades of tentative diplomacy, Earth had revealed its true power not through envoys or treaties, but by arriving with a warship that seemed more myth than reality. "Explain yourselves," Sirac demanded, struggling to maintain control. "This is a breach of every protocol. Why this show of force? What is your purpose?" Cortez's gaze swept across the projection. "We have evidence that some among you plot to destroy humanity and divide our systems. Consider this your warning. Withdraw your threats or face consequences you have never imagined." A tense silence followed. For the first time, the Galactic Council realized that the humans were no longer the naive newcomers they had dismissed. The Behemoth was a declaration. Earth was ready to fight, and to win. Outside, the stars seemed to dim in the shadow of the silent arrival. The Galactic Council chamber remained frozen in stunned silence as Admiral Elena Cortez's projection flickered above the dais. The weight of her words settled like a stone on the gathered delegates. The audacity of the Terrans, appearing unannounced with a battleship unlike anything known, and delivering an ultimatum, defied every expectation. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some whispered in fear, others in disbelief. The Yulari ambassador, known for their cunning, leaned close to the Kral warlord and hissed, "This is no bluff. They have the means to back it." Sirac, the Valter Council president, struggled to regain control. "Admiral Cortez, you claim evidence of a plot against your species. Present it now. This council will not be threatened by threats and shadows." Cortez's image did not waver. "Evidence will be shared once this chamber agrees to a ceasefire and recognizes Earth's sovereignty. We seek peace, but not at the price of our extinction." Behind the scenes, the Council's intelligence analysts scrambled. The Behemoth's sudden appearance disrupted decades of careful balance. Their scanners had never encountered a ship like this, a vessel that bent sensors, cloaked its emissions, and seemed to defy known physics. As data flooded in, an uneasy truth emerged. The behemoth wasn't just a warship. It was a fortress of secrets. Its hull was crafted from neutron-forged alloys, materials forged under pressure millions of times greater than that of Earth's deepest core. Its power source emitted no detectable radiation, hinting at technology beyond even the most advanced council races. More unnerving still was its AI, rumored to be semi-sentient, capable of anticipating enemy tactics and adapting in real time. A weapon built not only for destruction, but for survival against all odds. Back in the council chamber, whispers grew louder. The Kral delegate, a towering figure with scared skin, slammed his fist on the table. If Earth thinks it can bully us with such a weapon, they will learn the true cost of war. The Yulari ambassador smiled thinly. Let us not forget how quickly we crushed the last uprising on Cinderus Prime. This behemoth may be impressive, but it is still just a ship. But before the council could react, sensors on the station detected unusual activity in the nearby space lanes. A squadron of stealth pods, small, fast, and nearly invisible, launched from the shadows, heading straight for the behemoth. Within seconds, the council's security systems scrambled to respond, but the pods vanished. Communication with the vessels was lost entirely. Impossible, cried the Dren delegate. They were destroyed before entering Behemoth's perimeter. The holographic image of Cortez returned, colder than before. Our defenses are unmatched. Any attempt to board or disable this ship will be met with annihilation. Consider this your final warning. Panic rippled through the chamber. The human threat was no longer hypothetical. It was immediate and deadly. As the delegates debated, the behemoth remained silent outside the station, an unyielding fortress in the void, signaling a new era in galactic politics. No longer could Earth be ignored or dismissed. The Council had a choice: accept a new order or face a war unlike any before. Far from the grandeur and chaos of the Galactic Council chamber, aboard the behemoth itself, a different world thrummed with calculated purpose. The ship's corridors were a labyrinth of matte black steel and glowing consoles, humming softly with power from unknown sources. Admiral Elena Cortez stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the council station, so close, yet so worlds apart in understanding. Around her, officers moved efficiently, their faces a mix of resolve and cautious optimism. This ship, humanity's crown jewel, was the product of decades of hidden labor, built in secret while the galaxy dismissed Earth as inconsequential. This ship is our guardian and our sword, Cortez said quietly, her voice carrying the weight of uncounted sacrifices. What they see as arrogance, we call survival. The origins of the behemoth were shrouded in secrecy. When humanity first made contact with the Galactic Council 80 years prior, they had nothing more than fragile hopes and crude ships. Over those decades, Earth endured embargoes, shadow wars, and constant political pressure to submit to the Council's older powers. Instead, Earth's leaders chose a different path, one of silent preparation. Deep within the gas giant Jupiter's swirling storms, massive shipyards had risen, concealed beneath crushing pressure and magnetic storms. There the behemoth was forged, piece by piece, away from prying sensors and spies. The ship's hull was composed of neutron-forged alloys, materials created by compressing rare elements under gravitational forces mimicking those in neutron stars. The resulting metal was nearly impervious, capable of withstanding concentrated energy beams that would vaporize lesser craft. But the true marvel was its power core. The behemoth harnessed a prototype quantum vacuum energy reactor, tapping into fluctuations of space-time itself. This gave the ship near limitless endurance and an output that far exceeded any known Council technology. Its AI, known only as Ariadne, was an artificial consciousness crafted from the minds of Earth's greatest scientists and strategists. Ariadne didn't just execute orders. It learned, anticipated, and adapted. This meant the behemoth could counter threats before they fully materialized, a sentinel watching over humanity's future. The human crew trained relentlessly, honing their skills not just in warfare, but in diplomacy and strategy. They knew the galaxy had little patience for Earth's rise, and the behemoth was their ultimate bargaining chip. Back in the council chamber, rumors swirled about the behemoth's capabilities, but few could imagine the full scope of its power. Some whispered that the ship could bend space, create singularities, and even erase entire fleets without warning. Others believed such tales to be exaggerations or propaganda. But those whispers planted seeds of fear. Cortez turned away from the display, her gaze hardening. "We didn't build this ship to threaten. We built it to survive. Now, the galaxy will listen." As the behemoth hovered silently outside the council station, a single truth became clear. Earth was no longer a distant, powerless planet. It was a force that would change the galaxy forever. The council chamber buzzed with anxious whispers as the delegates struggled to digest the implications of the behemoth's presence. Many saw it as a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down by a species once dismissed as primitive. But while words flew back and forth, a darker plot took shape beyond the chamber's secure walls. Unbeknownst to most, the Krull and Illyri factions had secretly agreed to eliminate the Terran threat before it could grow. In the hidden depths of the Council's military stations, sleek stealth pods, small, lethal, and nearly invisible, were prepped for a surgical strike. Their target, the behemoth itself. Under the cover of a simulated diplomatic meeting, the stealth pods launched, gliding silently through space toward the Black Titan lurking near Eldru Prime. Each pod was piloted by elite warriors, trained for one mission, to infiltrate and disable the Terran warship. But the behemoth was ready. As the pods closed in, the ship's sensors hummed quietly, unmasked only to those who knew where to look. Its AI, Ariadne, had predicted such a strike weeks in advance. The ship's defense grid rippled to life, creating an invisible web of energy fields that clung to space itself. The first pod breached the outer perimeter, but moments later, it was obliterated in a silent burst of light. Communications from the pod ceased abruptly. One by one, the stealth squadron vanished without a trace. The Council Station's surveillance systems registered each disappearance, but failed to identify the cause. Panic spread. Back in the chamber, the Krull delegate bellowed, "This is an outrage. The humans are using forbidden technology, weaponizing space itself." The Illyri ambassador, ever calm, nodded. "They have crossed a line. We must respond decisively, or lose all respect." Yet the Terran projection remained cool. Cortez's voice cut through the chaos. "Your pods were destroyed without even a warning salvo fired from this ship. We offered peace. Instead, you chose aggression. Consider this your final warning." Across the bridge, Cortez watched the Council's turmoil unfold. They still don't understand. The behemoth is not just a warship. It's a fortress designed to protect everything humanity holds dear. Her tactical officer approached quietly. "Admiral, the Council's fleets are beginning to mobilize around Eldru Prime. They're not just angry. They're afraid." Cortez's eyes narrowed. "Good. Fear is a powerful deterrent, but if they cross us again, they will learn the true meaning of power." Outside, the behemoth remained motionless, a black colossus in the void, silent, unyielding, and utterly impregnable. As the Council debated their next move, one fact crystallized for all. Earth had arrived not with empty words or fragile alliances, but with overwhelming force, and it was ready to defend itself at any cost. The shadows that had once cloaked the behemoth's secrets now faded beneath a cold, unblinking gaze. The Galactic Council chamber was tense, a powder keg on the verge of exploding. Though many delegates bristled with rage and fear, Admiral Elena Cortez knew that words alone would not end the crisis. Diplomacy had its limits. Sometimes power had to speak for itself. Standing before the Council, she made an offer that stunned the assembly. "I will demonstrate a fraction of the behemoth's capabilities," Cortez announced, "not to threaten, but to make clear the cost of war. We do not seek conquest, but we will defend Earth and her allies without hesitation. The chamber erupted with protests. The Dren delegate pleaded for caution, while the Crawl growled about provocations. Yet, despite the fury, none could deny the gravity of the moment. Outside, in the vast expanse beyond Eldra Prime, the behemoth prepared. Its dark hull shimmered faintly as power surged through its core. Scientists and strategists aboard held their breath. The weapon about to be deployed was unlike any ever tested. A directed graviton pulse, capable of manipulating gravity on an unprecedented scale. The target was a distant, uninhabited asteroid belt on the edge of Council space, chosen specifically to avoid loss of life. "Ready," reported the weapons officer. Cortez nodded. A low hum rose from the ship, growing into a crescendo. Then, the behemoth fired a single, silent pulse into the void. The asteroid belt responded as if caught in an invisible grip. Rocks that once drifted loosely began to accelerate, drawn together by an unseen force. Within seconds, the entire belt collapsed inward, compressing into a swirling mass of molten rock and metal. Then, with a final shudder, the mass vanished, folded away into a controlled singularity, and safely contained within the behemoth's gravity wells. Back at the Council station, the view screens displayed the event in stunned silence. The Dren ambassador gasped. That was no weapon. That was bending space itself. The Eularian voice face paled. A controlled black hole. Cortez's projection reappeared, calm and resolute. This demonstration is not an act of aggression. It is a warning. Earth's technology can erase fleets, devastate worlds, and control the very fabric of space. We do not seek war, but we are prepared. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, the murmur of fear grew into outright panic. The Council president, pale and trembling, struggled to regain order. Such power cannot go unchecked. Yet to confront it without understanding would mean annihilation. Across the room, alliances fractured visibly. Some delegates began to reconsider their positions. Others plotted how to catch Earth off guard despite the odds. But one thing was clear. The balance of power had shifted irreversibly. Admiral Cortez allowed herself a rare small smile. We came in peace, but peace must be backed by strength. Outside the station, the behemoth drifted silently, a dark titan against the stars, a stark reminder that the galaxy had changed, and humanity was no longer to be underestimated. Far from the glittering halls of the Galactic Council, Earth lay beneath a shroud of quiet determination. Its surface was scarred by centuries of conflict, environmental disasters, global wars, and social upheaval. But beneath the rubble, a relentless spirit had endured. In the dim light of a sprawling underground complex, generations of Earth's finest minds had toiled in secret. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked side by side, bound by a single purpose: to prepare humanity for a galaxy that had long underestimated them. The birth of the behemoth was not an act of arrogance, it was a legacy of sacrifice. Images flickered through Cortez's mind, the faces of those who had given their lives to see Earth rise. Men and women who had braved cosmic radiation in orbital shipyards, engineers who had vanished under the pressure of Jupiter's storms, and soldiers who had trained in zero-gravity combat simulators for battles yet to come. In a quiet briefing room, Cortez studied an ancient datapad containing personal logs from the behemoth's earliest architects. One entry, written by Dr. Lena Sarin, read, "They call us fools for dreaming of warships while others build peace, but the galaxy shows no mercy to the weak. We prepare not to conquer, but to survive." The stakes had been clear for decades. The Galactic Council's oldest powers had always seen Earth as a wild card, too young, too unpredictable, and too dangerous to ignore. Earth's survival depended on becoming something more than a backwater planet. In the shadowed corridors of history, countless attempts to negotiate had faltered. Ambassadors had been ignored or threatened. Trade embargoes strangled resources, and in the background, hostile factions plotted Earth's destruction. The Behemoth was the culmination of this relentless struggle, a fortress built not only of steel but of hope and defiance. Back aboard the warship, Cortez addressed her officers, her voice steady, but heavy with the weight of their shared history. Every system on that ship carries the memory of those who came before us. We owe them our strength and our resolve. Her second-in-command, Commander Malik, nodded. They trained us for this moment. The galaxy thought we were weak. They were wrong. Beyond the steel walls, Earth's people watched anxiously, aware that their future now depended on the decisions made in distant stars. Yet despite the fear, pride burned bright. The Behemoth was more than a weapon. It was a testament to humanity's unyielding will to survive and thrive. As the Galactic Council debated the Terran arrival, Earth stood united behind their ship, their warriors and their cause. The ghosts of Earth's past whispered a single truth. Humanity had fought too long and too hard to be ignored any longer. The Galactic Council chamber was a storm of voices, emotions running high as delegates faced the impossible reality. Earth was no longer a peripheral power, but a force demanding recognition. The Behemoth's demonstration of strength had shattered decades of complacency, and the Council's carefully balanced alliances teetered on the edge of collapse. Council President Serac called for order, though his voice barely rose above the din. Delegates, this session will now proceed to a vote on Earth's official recognition and permanent seat at the Council. This decision will shape the future of our galaxy. The room fell into a tense hush as holographic voting consoles illuminated before every representative. The Krull delegate was first to speak. His voice was a growl of resentment. This ship is a threat to all established powers. Earth's sudden rise could destabilize centuries of peace. I vote against. The Yulari ambassador, more measured but equally firm, followed. Their technology is untested and dangerous. Recognition now risks war. I vote no. But a surprising chorus arose from smaller, less influential factions, those who had long suffered under the dominance of the great powers. The Valmeris delegate, representing a mining colony once oppressed by larger empires, stood defiantly. The Terrans have shown strength and resolve that we can only dream of. Perhaps this new power can balance the scales of justice. I vote yes. A ripple of agreement spread among several similar delegates, their votes signaling a shift in galactic politics. Within the chamber, whispers turned to heated debate. Some called for compromise. An observer status for Earth, a probationary period. Others demanded immediate full membership with full rights. As the vote began, the tally was razor close. The Council held its collective breath. Suddenly, a faction of the formerly neutral near-right delegates changed their position, tipping the balance. After much deliberation, their spokesperson declared, "We acknowledge Earth's undeniable strength and determination. We vote in favor." The room erupted. Some in cheers, others in furious protests. Serac slammed his gavel. The vote is concluded. Earth is hereby granted permanent membership on the Galactic Council. The decision sent shockwaves beyond the chamber walls. Across the galaxy, media broadcasts buzzed with the news, some celebrating a new era of cooperation, others fearing inevitable conflict. Back on the Behemoth, Cortez allowed herself a rare moment of relief. The hard-fought victory was not complete peace, but a foothold in the galaxy's highest councils, a chance to shape the future rather than be crushed beneath it. Yet, even as celebrations began, Cortez knew the road ahead would be treacherous. Old alliances would fracture further. New enemies would rise. The galaxy was awakening to a new era, one where humanity would no longer be ignored or marginalized. Her voice, broadcast privately to the crew, was resolute. Today, we have won a battle of recognition. Tomorrow, we begin the fight for respect. Outside, the stars stretched infinitely, but the shadow of the Behemoth loomed large, a reminder that humanity's dawn was just beginning. The vote was settled, the echo of gavel strikes fading into a new era. Earth had earned its place among the stars, not through empty promises, but through the undeniable force of the behemoth and the unwavering spirit of humanity. Yet the victory was only the beginning. Admiral Elena Cortez stood on the behemoth's bridge, gazing out at the swirling cosmos beyond Eldri Prime. The Galactic Council Station, once a symbol of exclusion, now recognized Earth's sovereignty. But the tensions in the chamber, the grudges, the fear, the fractured alliances, reminded her that peace was fragile. "Admiral," her tactical officer interrupted, "we've received a message from the Valmaris Coalition. They offer to join Earth in a new defense pact, one aimed at protecting smaller systems from the aggression of the older powers." Cortez's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "That could change the balance. We need allies who share our vision of a fairer galaxy." "Agreed," said Commander Malik. "But expect resistance. The Kraul and Ilari won't give up so easily." The behemoth shifted course, moving closer to the council station, a dark sentinel amidst the shining stars. Its presence was a warning and a promise. A new order was rising. On Eldred Prime, the council reconvened to address the delicate aftermath. New negotiations began, fueled by Earth's newfound influence. The council president, Serac, despite his reservations, acknowledged the shifting tide. "Humanity has changed the game," he conceded. "We must adapt or be swept aside." Elsewhere, secret meetings among the old powers plotted how to counterbalance Earth's growing strength. Shadows moved in corridors, and whispers of covert operations hinted at a galaxy still rife with intrigue. But for the people of Earth, hope burned brighter than ever. In the orbiting cities, broadcast screens showed scenes of celebration and resolve. Children listened to stories of the behemoth, not as a weapon of war, but as a beacon of survival and unity. Back on the behemoth, Cortez addressed her crew. "We are not conquerors. We are guardians of Earth, of our allies, and of the future we choose to build." Her voice carried across the ship, steady and inspiring. The crew responded with determined cheers. They knew the path ahead was fraught with danger, but also rich with possibility. The stars outside glimmered with infinite potential. A new dawn had broken, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. The behemoth moved forward, carrying humanity's legacy into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges the cosmos might hold. And somewhere deep in the void, Ariadne, the ship's AI, processed a simple truth. The era of underestimation was over.